All right,
Cool.
guys. Thank you, guys, for joining me today. I'm here with James. James, my man, how you doing, brother?
What is up, Judah? So pumped to be
Yeah,
here with you, man.
yeah. So James decided to come into the book. He said yes. So you will be writing a chapter for Reputation Driven. So,
Yes.
man, I had a chance to speak with you. I know your story is going to resonate with a lot of people. Being a father, struggling father, not knowing how you're going to put, buy diapers and baby food and all that great stuff that us fathers have to worry about. And you decided to say, you know what, no more, enough is enough, no more. And you were able to do some amazing things in your first month or your first 12 months in real estate.
Yeah.
Um, Share a little bit about with the people who you are and what you do, so we'll
Yeah,
know. Yeah,
absolutely. So I own a couple of companies, and the first company that I got started in real estate was my residential wholesaling and flipping company. And so just buying and selling residential properties. So that's the first company I own. And then I also own a real estate coaching company where I coach hundreds of real estate investors across the country, helping them build their businesses as well.
awesome, man. So you were also able, to do what, over $1 million in profit in your first 12 months.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
So
1.1 million in my first 12 months, starting from ground zero. It
starting
was
from
an
ground.
incredible journey. Yeah,
And I bet, and I love what Jim Rohn says. It's not the destination, right? It's the person you become in the process.
absolutely.
To get, so the person you had to become, James, to in order for you to get to that point. I bet you it took a lot of reading of books, a lot of meditation, a lot of just putting yourself out there, a lot of breaking down doors and jumping over hurdles. Because to do what you were able to do in 12 months is that's a huge that's a huge
Yeah.
leap, man. That's a huge leap, and that's a success story that a lot of people, I think, takes they take time to get to those that figure, but you were able to do it in such a short amount of time. If you could just share, like, what was some of the things that you were going through in those 12 months, like what was some pivotal moments in that journey.
It's funny that you mentioned the Jim Rohn quote. It's about,
Yeah.
the person that you become. And uh, in order for me to basically go from making $17,000 a year to 1 million in like a 12-month span, I had to create a new identity for
Mm,
myself over and over and over in a really short time frame. And so the way that I was able to do that was by putting myself in proximity as frequently as I could throughout that 12-month span with other high level 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs. And so I literally had to, like I said, create this new identity. And the only way that I was able to do that was I had to ask myself, how does a 7-figure earner think? How do they operate? And I took it even as far as like I changed my appearance, I changed the way that I dress. I eventually changed the car that I drove. I changed my physical environment. But I also changed my daily habits. And that was one of the most powerful things. And so, one of the things that I did every single morning was what I call a morning formula, where I basically had this written out document of the qualities that I knew I had to embody as a 7-figure earner. And so I would speak it out in the present tense, in present tense, saying, I am, this person, I am this person. I do own a 7-figure business. And I had this list of all of these qualities that I saw in other 7-figure entrepreneurs. And then I had this sheet of paper where basically it was basically like a vision board, but it was a sheet of paper of all of these different images that I felt embodied the person I was becoming, person I was stepping into. And so, I mean, I just immersed myself in all of this stuff every single day. And like you mentioned, yes, there were tons of books. I read probably 30 books that year, and all of the books were focused on, high level entrepreneurship, leadership, management, marketing, sales, because, building a 7-figure business requires a bunch of different skill sets that
hmm
we have to layer on top of each other.
Yeah. So for those who are watching, as long as you're getting started, right, James? I mean, someone may not come in and do seven figures in 12
Right.
months, but if you're taking those initial first steps, I think that's very, very important, and it can get you where you want to get to a lot faster by not taking any steps. Now, like what you said too, it's really all about those daily habits and getting your mind ready for what it is that that you deserve. So for when you're talking about saying everything in the present tense, that's very powerful, because I think when we some people will tend to do, well, I'll go to the gym tomorrow, or I am, I'll do. Nothing's really ever in the present tense. It's always future tense.
Right.
It's sort of like, so I like, when you put that, the way you put that future tense, that's very powerful in terms of setting your intentions. Yeah.
And one of the things, I actually saw a post in a Facebook group the other day, and it just really got me thinking about my journey. And when we're talking about identity, our I am statements control our identity. And
Mm,
so I hear so many people that are in a financial position where they don't have a lot of money, and they say, I am broke,
mm,
I am
mm,
poor. Well, when you
mm.
assume that identity, that's all you're going to get.
Yes.
You're basically just creating your reality by taking on that I am statement, that I am declaration over yourself. And so I think that those thought patterns, I think that those statements and patterns in our life also contribute to the reality that we experience. And so changing the I am statements, I've experienced so much power from that.
That's awesome, man. And I know you're probably going to be sharing some of these ideas and these strategies in the story as it relates to reputation, because you've had to be able to build a reputation, obviously, in those 12 months and beyond, right?
Right.
In order for you to become the man that you are today. So, what made you decide to write a story for Reputation Driven? What was it for you?
First, I think with any author, our goal is to help other people by sharing our experience. We all have experience, like we all have life experiences that can contribute to the growth and success of other people.
Mm-hmm.
If they can tap into our experience and the experience that we've lived in our lives, well, maybe they can bypass some of the challenges that we had to walk through, or condense the time frame in which they're able to overcome those challenges in their life. And so, that's one of the things that inspired me to be a part of this book. But also, I really love the concept. I really love the whole framework of the book, which is building a business through having a great reputation. And I
Mm.
think that it's such a needed message in the business world today. And a lot of the authors of this book are in the real estate world. And in the real estate world especially, I think that reputation contributes immensely to success. And me as an investor, particularly in the wholesaling flipping side, I don't think that reputation is talked about enough. I don't think that brand is talked about enough. But it was one of the things that really helped accelerate my growth curve. And I just want to share the lessons that I've learned in regards to having a great reputation and how that can contribute to the growth of the business.
So, with that being said, James, can you give us a little bit about what it is that you may share in the book? Like,
Yeah,
what can some readers take from your chapter? A little bird's eye
yeah,
view.
absolutely. So I think so. Like, as far as like some of the things I'm going to share, obviously I'm going to share my story of how I went from making $17,000 a year to $1 million per year in 12 months. But some like one of the specific stories around that was as a wholesaler. So as a wholesaler, I'm going and finding properties with homeowners, and then I'm turning around and selling those properties to investors. And one of the ways that we were able to grow so quickly is because we realized that the better that we could establish relationships with investors, and the higher quality service that we could provide for them, the more it would help us grow our business. And so basically that's the story I want to share of like what that looked like and how it contributed to that growth curve that I had. Because what ended up happening, because as a wholesaler, the only repeat customers that most of us really have are our investor buyers. And if we can truly provide an exceptional service to our investors, I call it a white glove service. We can provide a white glove service, then they're going to prefer to do business with us over other wholesalers. And that right there can, that repeat buyer makes all the difference in the world. Now, when you have hundreds of those, it compounds and creates an exponential effect within the business. And so, like, for instance, one of the effects that it had on my business is that, our average profit on our deals was, in the beginning, it was like $14,000 on our deals. Well, by applying this principle to our business and really focusing on the quality of service that we're providing and really going the extra mile to meet the needs of the buyers, we were able to almost double the profitability on our deals by really treating our buyers how honestly we would want to be treated.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So you basically focused on building a brand rather than just going out flipping properties or doing wholesale deals.
And eventually, it led to us being like the go-to person in this specific market, where if you were an investor, you came to us to find deals.
That's powerful. So at what point did you decide to make that pivot? I know you're going to talk about the 12, that 12-month journey.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit about, why you made that pivot. And that's something that you're probably going to share. But what was it that really said, you know what, I got to make a change. My family deserves better. At what point did you decide enough is enough? And why real estate? Why did you choose real estate? You could have chose many other different avenues. Why real estate?
It's a great question. So the pivotal moment for me, I will never forget this for the remainder of my life. My wife went to the grocery store and she went to go buy groceries this was before I started my real estate business, but the pivotal moment for me to make the change to start this business and really pursue this business seriously was my wife went to the grocery store to buy groceries. We had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. She was also pregnant with our second daughter, and she called me on the phone crying, and I'm like, "Hey, Megan, what's going on?" And she said, "James, our account is overdrawn and I can't buy groceries right now. And we need to get groceries for Talia, our 2-year-old daughter." And so for me, as a father, as a husband, as a provider for my family, it was one of the lowest moments of my life. And I did the only thing that I knew that I could do to get money instantaneously, and went down to the blood donation center and donated plasma, because I knew that they would give me money right there on the spot. And so I was sitting on the table, with the needle in my arm, donating plasma. And on that table, I said, I've got to make a change. I've got to do something differently, because as a father, as a husband, as a provider, I am not living up to the standard that I want to provide for my family. And it was that moment I said, all right, I'm making a change. And the first change that I made was actually getting another job. I took a job, moved across the state of Texas, took a trucking job that I knew I was going to hate, but I went in with the intention that it was a means to an end so that I could start my real estate company. Because this job was going to provide me a salary that was higher than my living expenses. So I had just a little bit of an excess income that I could redeploy into starting my business.
Like kind of like that whole rich dad, poor dad philosophy, where you take your cash flow and then invest it into your assets. But you know what? That's perfect, man. So, you're sitting there and you say, I got to make this pivot. I got to make this change. You got into trucking. what made you decide on real estate? Like, why was there someone already in your life that you knew that were investing? Was there a book that you have read that somebody let you borrow, or you just, what was that moment?
Yeah.
And as to why you chose real estate? Yeah.
So I'm like first generation real estate investor in my family. Nobody in my
Okay.
family, nobody in my extended family has had anything to do with real estate. My father was a high school football coach. His father was a high school football coach. My mom's father was a coach as well, and a high school principal. And so nobody in my family came from real estate, but I had a business. So I was a personal trainer, and I had like this business mentor who recommended the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And so after reading the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, if you've ever read the book, he talks a lot about real estate investing in that book. And I was hooked after I read that book. I knew for sure I was going to be in real estate investing in some capacity. And it was through just diving into research and real estate investing. And initially, I was looking at real estate investing through the lens of buying rental properties. And because that's what Robert Kiyosaki talked about in Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then I was playing the cash flow game after reading the book. And in the cash flow game, you're buying these rental properties. And I don't know if you ever played the cash flow game, but whenever you buy rental properties in the cash flow game, you're making like $300 net cash flow per rental property per month. And I'm doing the math and I'm like, it's going to take me forever to get wealthy if I'm making $300 per month per property. And I'm like, first I got to come up with the money to buy the property. Then I'm only going to be making $300 a month. And so it just got me questioning my approach. I still wanted to be in real estate, but it got me questioning the approach. And then it was just through the research that I came across a webinar that talked about wholesaling. And after I watched this webinar, he was talking about making $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 on these wholesale deals. You don't have to purchase the property. You don't have to do renovations on the deals. And so I was all in on wholesaling after I watched that webinar. And, that's before I even moved and took that trucking job. I knew I was going to start wholesaling. That's awesome, moved, took the job, and literally within, I think, a month of having that new job, I started my wholesaling business. And then it was within 3 months I went full time.
Oh, that's awesome, bro. So within 3 months, you were able to quit your trucking business or quit your trucking job and go full time into your real estate business. Yeah, that's awesome, man. So one little nugget, man. One little nugget that you can leave the listeners or those who are watching. What's something that you recommend that they take action on today if they wanted to get into real estate or wanted to make that pivot? And they're on the fence. They're watching your interview right now. They're definitely going to read the book to gain more inspiration and motivation. But if you can leave them one nugget, what would you leave them right now?
Yeah, one nugget that I would leave them. There's a book called Vivid Vision, and it's really hard to, accomplish anything great if we don't know where we're going. And so one thing that I would have somebody that they can take action on today is get ultra clear on what you want. Like, what is financial, a lot of people watching this may be interested in achieving financial freedom in their life. Well, what does that mean for you? Define what financial freedom looks like. Define what it is, what life you actually want to create for yourself. And the more clear that you can get on this, the faster you're going to be able to bring that into reality. And then you start to create this vivid vision of what you want to bring into existence. And now your brain knows where it's going. Your brain can recognize where it's going. And then from there, it's just a matter of, okay, what needs to happen in order to make that a reality? But like, once you get really clear on where you want to go, now your brain starts to, and your subconscious starts to figure out the how. And then, that's when, we've all heard the saying of the teacher appears whenever the student is ready. Well, I think that's the first step, is we got to get clear on where we want to go. And now it's like the teacher will appear the tools needed will appear whenever you're ready and you're ultra clear on where you want to go.
So what's the name of the book again? I'll leave a link for those who are interested.
Vivid Vision.
Vivid Vision. And
Vivid
so
Vision.
how can people get in contact with you, James, if they interested in learning more about you, or maybe they want to come into I know you have a coaching program.
Yeah.
So how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah. So I'm pretty easy to find. You can reach out on any social media. So my website is reigamechangers.com, reigamechangers.com. And then you can reach out. You can find me at James F. Hodges on Facebook. You can find me at James F. Hodges on Instagram. It's a new Instagram account. I had my previous Instagram account got like deactivated somehow, but it's a new Instagram account, James F. Hodges. But reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, or they can go to our website, reigamechangers.com.
Okay, and I'll be glad to share that information in the description. James, brother, I appreciate you taking the time. This was golden. All the nuggets that you've dropped, I know the listeners and viewers are going to take, we'll take the information and do exactly what they need to do with it, and that's to take action. So I appreciate you stopping by, brother. Thank you for your time. Can't wait to read your book, and we'll talk soon, my man.
Awesome, Judah. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.